Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Phivos Therapontos, and I will present you a paper, Increasing RES Penetration in the Cyprus Power System, Current and Future Challenges. As you probably already know, the power system of Cyprus is isolated without any other interconnection with any power system, and at the same time, the demand is relatively low. As you can see in the load duration curve, the maximum demand of the system is 1.2 gigawatts. The average demand is below 620 megawatts, and the minimum demand is approximately 300 megawatts. At the same time, the current installed RES penetration is approximately 500 megawatts and is expected to reach more than 1.2 gigawatts by the end of 2032. And I should mention that most of the new installations will be PV systems. So you probably wonder how in this small system we can integrate this massive RES penetration. Moving on with the challenges that are currently occurring in our system, and in my opinion, the challenges are more profound and critical during long load duration conditions. These conditions occur during autumn and spring times where heating and cooling requirements are minimized. As you can see in the graph, there is a historical net load of the system for the past few years, and the net load is reducing mainly due to PV generation in the midday. At the same time, the transmission system operator of Cyprus has a major rule which states that it requires a minimum number of 4 committed generators at all times in the system, 2 in each major power plant. So this leads us to an ultimate minimum stable generation limit of approximately 200 megawatts. This creates an issue, and we have to curtail RES production. The curtailments occur during when the net load, which is represented by the green area in the graph, is below the minimum stable generation limit, which is represented with the black dashed curve. This minimum stable generation limit varies according to the unit commitment, and if we take a look in the future, the RES curtailments will be increased while the PV installations are increasing, and in the following years, the curtailments are further increased. So, in this paper, we try to evaluate if we can reduce these curtailments by reducing the minimum stable generation limit. So, we have examined 3 possible study cases. In scenario 2 and scenario 3, we have only used 3 synchronized generators, and we initially performed a frequency stability analysis. As it was expected, you can see that in scenario 2, the ROCOP, the rate of change of frequency, has increased and nadir has decreased. Well, at the same time, scenario 3, we have a blackout. I should mention that in a cascading event, scenario 2 also has a blackout, while in scenario 1, which is the base case scenario, the system remains stable. Furthermore, we examine how the system's strength is affected by reducing the minimum stable generation limit, and for this reason, we perform a short circuit analysis to the major transmission substations in the country. And as you can see in the spider graph, which shows the reduction of the short circuit levels, which are key indicators of the system strength, compared to scenario 1, and you can see that we have a significant reduction of the short circuit levels up to 40%. So we concluded that we cannot reduce the minimum stable generation limit, and therefore the RES curtailments cannot be further reduced. However, challenges occur also during medium and high loading conditions. In this graph, you saw it represents a snapshot of the hosting capacity map of the Cyprus power system. If we take a close look in this map, we can see that most of the renewable energy sources are connected into the same geographical areas. At the same time, these areas have very low loading demand, which results in a very high RES to load ratio. So in order to evaluate how this combination affects our system, we perform a contingency analysis with N-1 criteria, and the results shown in the table shows clearly that we are going to have a lot of violations in the future. 9 substations from the 60 total substations Cyprus power system will have violations in the future. Last but not least challenge in the power system of Cyprus are the RAM rate requirements. And during high loading conditions where rest curtailments are minimized, we have a significant reduction of the net load of the system due to PV generation in the midday. So, however, at the same time, the evening peak remains the same. So we need significant RAM rate requirements and capabilities from the conventional generators in order to satisfy this increased evening peak. And I should mention at this point that currently there are no, the generation available in the Cyprus power system does not have these RAM rate capabilities. So, in this point, I will show some of the future needs of the power system of Cyprus that have to apply in order to manage to integrate this massive penetration in the Cyprus power system. First of all, energy storage units that will provide frequency support during events and will help in reduction of rest curtailments and congestion avoidance. New generation units with lower minimum stable generation limits and higher RAM rate capabilities. Network reinforcement that will increase the hosting capacity mainly of the transmission system. Advanced grid code requirements that will ensure that renewable energy sources will remain connected to the grid after faults and at the same time provide support to the system, the well-known grid forming rather than the grid following inverters, and a high voltage DC link that will provide security of supply and exporting capabilities. In general, the system needs flexibility. So in concluding, we are expecting massive rest penetration in the Cyprus power system. Different challenges are occurring during different demand periods. These challenges will become only more profound in the upcoming years, and the system needs flexibility. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you very much for sticking with the time. I don't have any questions. It seems very obvious that you need storage. Is there any plan to put storage in the system?
As you probably know, the system operators are not allowed to install or maintain or operate a storage unit. The ministry is trying to provide incentives for installing storage units, but this decision is up to the investors and up to the government. We need.
Do you have many questions, please?
Another measure you could consider is asking the renewables to provide ramping capabilities, and because it's not only grid forming, we can have in the power electronics of the turbines to provide this facility.
I tried to include only the major requirements. Obviously, PV systems and all the kind of renewable energy sources under the correct grid code requirements can provide the support to the system and RAM rate capability.
I think this is the first, I would say.
Okay.
Another question here?
Yeah. Just a question. I assume the PV plants are large PV systems rather than distributed residential systems.
Yeah, most of the installed PV systems are large installations, more than approximately 2 megawatts.
So you have some sort of control over them.
Yeah, every park up which is higher than 0.5 megawatts is controlled by the distribution system operator.
One very quick question.
You speak about flexibility of production, but not about.
I can't hear you.
You speak about flexibility of production, but not about the demand.
Yeah, obviously demand side can't help countermeasure these challenges, but I believe that these are the immediate measurements, and demand response is in early stages of development. And so, although we believe that we can extract flexibility from demand response, I don't think that is something that we can utilize in the upcoming years. It's something that we can take in 10 years in a significant amount, not just a few megawatts.
For different problems.
For different problems, yeah, you need something for SCR, for. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your